Speaking of mistaking names, Chris Cooper, Sam Cooper, Michael Bolton, John Bolton. John Bolton has not been arrested, but there was an early morning raid on John Bolton's home. And I don't know if he tweeted this while he was being raided, and I'm not engaging in the ancient German art of Schadenfreude, which is taking pleasure in the misfortunes of others. I am taking pleasure in the enforcement of justice. This is not retribution. This is not vengeance. This is justice, or at the very least, the enforcement of justice. Before we get into the raid, just want to highlight that John Bolton is an idiot. Like, he is an idiot. Donald Trump was right. He's a moron. He might be a useful idiot, but he's an idiot. This was from 7:32 a.m. What time did the raid start? Russia has not changed its goal. Drag Ukraine into a new Russian empire. You know what's funny, by the way, now that I know a bit better of the history, it wouldn't be a new Russian empire. If anything, it would be drag Ukraine into the former Russian empire, which is what the argument was. So wrong and dumb. Congratulations. Thy name is John Bolton. Drag Ukraine into a new Russian empire. Moscow has demanded that Ukraine cede territory it already holds and the remainder of Donetsk, which it has been unable to conquer. Let me just make sure I understand this. Moscow has demanded Ukraine cede territory it already holds. What's the it? Russia or Ukraine? If Russia holds it, you think they're giving it back? Zelensky will never do so. Well, he might. Meanwhile, meetings will continue because Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. But I don't see these talks making any progress. Bookmark it, biatches. This is going to age very badly. Why? Because Bolton is an idiot. I've already called it. There will be peace one way or the other. Because whatever Zelensky thinks he's never going to do or is going to do, when the U.S. says, we've done everything we can, Zelensky, you're on your own, it's going to happen. But behind closed doors, Trump is saying, it's going to happen, Zelensky, either with us or without us. So you may as well look like you agree to it. And that's how it's going to happen. We'll see. But this is what Bolton is tweeting out at 7:32 a.m. Can we find out what time he was being raided? He got raided this morning. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get cuffed. They didn't haul him out like they did with Jeff Clark in his underwear. Was it Jeff Clark that they hauled out with his underwear? I forget who. There's so many. It wasn't a Steve Bannon raid. It wasn't a Roger Stone early morning raid, guns drawn. It wasn't a James O'Keefe, guns drawn, handcuffed in your underwear raid. They're looking for something. We're going to see what they're looking for. Trump-Bolton feud back in focus. After FBI raid, never had a clue what a dope. Trump called Bolton a wacko and dope in their feud. I went back to the feud back in 2020 when Bolton was releasing his book. We're going to get to that in a second because I don't know if it's related to that, but I suspect it probably is. Fox News reporting this morning, FBI launched a raid Friday morning into the home and office of John Bolton, President Donald Trump's national security advisor 2018-2019, months after Trump yanked Bolton's security clearance in January upon taking office. The two men have had a long history of fighting. Yada, okay. While Trump has labeled Bolton a wacko and a dope, Bolton has had his fair share of harsh words for the president. I don't think he's fit for office, Bolton. Well, that's a good thing that you don't control democracy, jackass. That's what you think. You vote accordingly. 77 million Americans said he's not only fit for office, we need him at this critical juncture of American history. And thank God that he's in office right now. Okay, let's skip it here. There really isn't any guiding principle that I was able to discern other than what's good for Donald Trump's reelection, Bolton said at the time. I think he was so focused on the reelection that the longer-term considerations fell by the wayside. Replace every word there about Trump's reelection with the sale of Michael Bolton's book and the considerations about classified information. And there you have John Bolton's modus operandi when it came to publishing that book and allegedly violating rules of classification or disclosure of classified information. Bolton also characterized Trump as lacking. Okay. The first Trump administration sought to block the release of Bolton's memoir, The Room Where It Happened, and asserted it contained classified material. The book alleged that Trump pleaded Chinese President Xi Jinping to support Trump's reelection campaign and called Trump stunningly uninformed. Some of the claims that he's alleged that he says Trump made. It's like you ask AI if Trump would have ever said something like that, and I guarantee you AI will say no. While the Justice Department attempted to prevent the publication of the book on the basis of closed classified matters pertaining to U.S. intelligence, yada, yada, a federal judge signed off on the book, which ultimately was published in June 23, 2020. Meanwhile, Trump has credited Bolton's assertions, hurled his own insults back. Many of the ridiculous statements he attributes to me were never made, pure in fiction. Trump said in a social media post in 2020. Okay, fine. Can we get to the raid today? Wacko John Bolton's exceedingly tedious book is made up of lies, fake stories. Bolton trying to sell his book at the time, bypassing the rules. There was a whole scandal as to whether or not it ought to have been cleared. There was the first woman named Knight who did the review, said it's okay, and then claims that she was pressured to re-review it based on reclassification of information so that it wouldn't be released. The man is selling a book about Trump's presidency. Where were we at that time? At the end of his presidency, leading into the next election. That's election interference. I don't actually believe it's election interference. I shouldn't even say that as a joke. Bolton departed his post in 2019. But yeah, Bolton was not arrested or taken into custody following the raid on his home and office Friday. Trump told reporters Friday that he had no knowledge of the raid and learned about it watching TV. You know what's funny? Obama said the exact same thing. The only difference is I don't believe Obama because I know that he's a liar. I believe that Trump might not have known, but probably had some indications that things were about to go down. He's not a smart guy, Trump said Friday, but he could be very unpatriotic. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about it. I just saw this morning they did a raid. Listen to this. But he could be very unpatriotic. I mean, we're going to find out, what they did the raid for. So I would like to go to the chat and see why everybody thinks Bolton was raided. The question is, I don't think, I want to say it relates to the book. So we can go back here. This is I'll give you this national security. This is a very biased explanation of what happened with the book. But there was a lawsuit that they filed to try to block the book, or I forget which way this went here. When the White House lawyers tried to block publications of the John Bolton's book, National Security Council specialists confronted them, suggesting they were intervening because it was making fun of Trump. Okay. According to a revealing court filing this week in the continuing saga of the Bolton book, the court document asserts that in response, quote, several attorneys registered their agreement with that diagnosis of the situation. Today, National Security Archive is posting the filing along with the court records relating to the underlying case of United States versus John Bolton. The filing, which was submitted on behalf of former NSC official Ellen Knight. Okay, so this is on behalf of the woman who said the book can go ahead and be published, who spent 4 months earlier this year rigorously reviewing the manuscript, describes in detail how her professional determination that the book no longer contained classified information was overruled by a subsequent secret review conducted by a Trump political appointee with no experience with the publication process. Blah, blah. So Knight says it could go. It gets overturned afterwards. They're adding this filing in the court when the Trump administration is trying to block the publication of the book. And she says they came in, politically tried to block it because it's so embarrassing, because anybody gives a sweet bugger all of what war whore hawk with his frickin' mustache, John Bolton has to say. But I'm curious as to what this raid pertained to. Some people are hypothesizing that this raid is more about getting pressure on Bolton to potentially spill the beans on others who might be the true targets of whatever underlying investigation is going on right now. Or it's just continue. I don't know how long, what the statute of limitations would be on whatever crimes Bolton might have potentially committed back in the day. This is from 2020. Justice Department opens criminal inquiry into John Bolton's book. Investigators are examining whether the former national security advisor illegally disclosed classified information. That's from 2020. Trump loses an election. I say put loses in quotes. Election stolen. Biden comes in. Is it possible the Trump administration right now is going to gather evidence to be submitted to a grand jury to continue a prosecution of John Bolton? Justice Department, 5-year-old article, people, has opened a criminal investigation into whether John Bolton unlawfully disclosed classified information in a memoir this summer, an inquiry that the department began after it failed to stop the publication. Department has convened a grand jury, which issued a subpoena for communication of records from Simon & Schuster. Javelin Agency also received a subpoena. I'm wondering if this is a continuation of that. So what's the statute of limitations on illegal disclosure of classified information? Let's see if I can get that real quick. What is the statute of limitations on? Okay. Great question. Thank you. The statute of limitations is, okay, it's 5 years. Oh my goodness. Well, now that we know we're 2 weeks away from the 5-year statute of limitations. Okay, educated guess, people. Bookmark it. Do I want to go out on this limb and look stupid if it doesn't happen? Yes. Yes, I do. They're going to bring charges against John Bolton. Come on, Viva. They're going to bring charges against John Bolton, and they need to do it to get within the statute of limitations because they're coming close to it. That's my guess. What does the chat say about my investigatory analytical skills? Bolton no longer has security clearance. If he has any classified information in his home, he will go to prison. Interesting shovel shit. That's interesting also because there would certainly be no statute of limitation questions on that. It depends on what they charge him with. Okay. Flag it. Yes, people say, okay, I agree with that. And then let me go to our vivabarneslaw.locals.com above average community and see what they say. I hear a child coming in while I'm live, sir. I am live. Did you pick the lock? Yeah. Okay, wait, come back in 2 minutes. So you can tell the world I just need to finish this thought. Finboy Slick. Okay, no. John Bolton hospitalized by 5-hour erection after. Come on, that's funny. I would really like to see Bolton charged. Arrest Michael Bolton too. Why not? Says Salty Corn Pop. That's what I say. Definitely not this Bolton. See no stash. I like Michael Bolton. His work with Lonely Island makes me truly believe he's a good, funny human being.